Welcome to the Wednesday, February 16th crypto market update. Let's get started with the 5K count. Currently, we're trading at $3,400 that we have. Part of that is because we are in this position, which is the AVAX short. Okay. Now, again, I don't have a stop on this. I figured that we were going to shoot up, at the point where I got in. I didn't know we were going to shoot up this high, but it is what it is, right? I still believe that the market overall is very choppy. I think it's going to be uncertain for AVAX and altcoins in general. And I am partially concerned that, yes, we could break out of here, but not really, at least not right now. For me to be really, really concerned that, hey, we're going to just keep heading on up and I need to cut my short is if we get over, like, let's just say this point right here, okay? So I would say $100, okay? $100. If we smash above this level and we're able to maintain and start trending up like this, then I'm wrong. My short is wrong. The market itself is probably going to go up further, okay? But as of right now, I think one thing that I'm recognizing in the market is it is still banging right into resistance for not only altcoins, but for Bitcoin itself. If we look at Bitcoin right now, on an hourly time frame, here's kind of what I see is this pocket right here, which was really resistance, right? BTC once again kind of came back right into that area, okay? So this is a high value area right here. If we actually map out volume profile session volume, okay, VPSV, right? You can kind of see that this area up here has a lot of volume that was transacted before we broke down, and then a lot of volume transacted here before we broke back up. Guess what? Well, this pocket of volume coincides with this right here. See that? So we're basically coming back into the same area, and you can just ignore this stuff that happened up here, right? Because all this stuff was excess. A majority of the volume took place right here and is taking place once again right here. So this tells us that as of right now, Bitcoin is just, once again, heading back into the high volume node, okay, where this previous volume was transacted, and it's just sitting there, unable to kind of break through that. Now, I am actually of the opinion that BTC will try to wick and tag the yearly open right here. And then I actually think we're going to break down. Why? Because I told y'all before, monthly opens and yearly opens, they're pretty important markers in the crypto landscape, right? And more often than not, they get tagged as support or resistance before price eventually moves away from that level. And I personally believe that that yearly open, it looks way too close for us to not, come and tag it and then decide if we're going to break down, or if eventually, we smash above the yearly open and we start trading higher, right? That's how I'm looking at the market from the current perspective of where we are, okay? Now, of course, you can make the argument that, hey, on an hourly time frame, this kind of looks like a pretty clean head and shoulders pattern that looks like it's breaking down. And I think that's fair, right? But if it breaks down, well, again, you're probably going to head back into this pocket right here, which also consists of the weekly open and multiple high volume nodes that are in this area. So around 42,200 or 42 flat is where I could see BTC heading down into if we do break down. I think my slightly higher conviction is that before we break down, right, I actually think we'll sort of melt up towards this yearly open, just because it just looks so easy to go up there and tag it. So if you want to put on a trade, based on something like that, you could just take, I don't know, maybe a long like this. You can have your stop just below this big candle breakout low, and your target profit is yearly open. That's a pretty good risk to reward, right? You're risking 2.6 for about 5.7, okay? So keep that in mind in case you do want to get long in this BTC trade. DBX is asking, aren't I close to liquidation letting price get that high? I don't think so. My liquidation is like 150. That's like a new all-time high if that happens. No, I'm not close at all. I mean, you guys could see like my size is just, I mean, my original size was like $4,400, but this gets added on to the notional size. Okay. I'm not really concerned because I don't think AVAX is just going to rip straight into like 120 or 150. I think if it's going to consolidate around 100s, like, okay, I'll decide to, I don't know, trim it or let go of the position. But no, I'm not really concerned about liquidation at all. Okay. All right. And like I said, right, I took on this short with the idea that, yeah, we can squeeze higher. I didn't think we would squeeze this high, but I'm okay with it because, like I said before, right, if we are to really kind of break and hold above this area like this and trade higher, that means I'm wrong on the trade and I need to let go of that trade. Okay. If it starts doing what it's doing basically right now, well, this can easily break down over the next, couple of days, maybe even like today itself. It could start, trading down lower. And then over the next coming weeks, we break down further into our original targets, which was, $60, and then, the low of 50s right here, and then 40s and something like that. But as of right now, obviously, AVAX is trading in the $93 range, right? I'm not going to hope for a massive market nuke, instantly. I know it's going to take a while for this to kind of break down. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah, let me check my leverage. Yeah, you can see it's 1.4. I'm really not concerned. I mean, I also don't have a spot position, remember. So, if the market, say in other assets were going down, right? Like my spot collateral is not being dragged down. So I just have this cash and it's just moving up and down with whatever is happening in AVAX short. Okay, that's really it. All right. So anyway, I mean, just letting y'all know that I'm in this short. I'm sticking with it until the market kind of proves me wrong otherwise. Okay. All right. On a daily basis, BTC, once again, looks very interesting here, right? To me, on a daily basis, this kind of looks pretty clean. Okay. In terms of the movement that we've had, which is you can kind of see this trend line that we marked out from April and September, retest right here in October, multiple retests right here in December, rejection in January, and we've now retested that as support, right? So, on a daily basis, like, okay, yes, this looks good, looks like it wants to trend up higher. Maybe it even goes up higher than that, right? I'm not really quite sure. I would figure that the yearly open is going to pose some decent amount of resistance, in my opinion. Okay. And then other than that, we could make the argument that, hey, there's a, inverse head and shoulders being created right there. Right. And if that's the case, well, then, the target for this measured move of an inverse head and shoulders is kind of like this, right? From the neckline down to the head. Okay. You just put this on top, right, of the breakout of the neckline, and that puts us at a target of about 62,000 or 63,000 rather. Okay, so you could kind of see that there's definitely multiple ways that I'm going about measuring the movement out of here, and not just looking at this from a bearish standpoint. I know I could be wrong, like I pointed out yesterday, right, to Advantage members, that what we really need to be paying attention to is what exactly is happening in the external parts of the market, whether it's the censorship with China or with Canada, with what's it called, the Russia and Ukraine issues, the currency devaluation or interest rate hike here in the US, right? All these things externally are, of course, guiding our market. And as of right now, I'm, of course, concerned about crypto, but I'm not concerned that we're just going to get nuked out of the sky, at least not yet. Okay, because if you kind of look at the stock market right now too, it's also in this very peculiar area where, yes, it's like it's created this big sort of head and shoulders looking thing like this, but in my opinion, I think this from here we should have just started just breaking down fast. So we're spending definitely a lot of time around here. And that makes me a little bit, suspect about what's happening in this area. Because the one thing that's been clear about the stock market, and, again, stock market strength is very important for what happens in crypto, in my opinion. Okay. So if the stock market strength for the last, year and a half has been clearly just up only, right? Well, who's to say that the stock market can't just turn around here and just start heading on up? In which case, I would fully believe that Bitcoin and crypto will more than likely head on up as well. Okay. So as of right now, the stock market, once again, is in a very peculiar area. And it just makes me feel a little bit more uncertain about what may happen to crypto, what may happen to Bitcoin and altcoins, right? So I'm going to stick with my short for now. I'm not going to let it go just yet. And we'll see what happens, okay? Other parts of the market, I mean, you can kind of see, right? Like if you look at, let's just say Matic, for example, it's also just hovering around this SR level, which is the 170 level, okay? One Harmony, same thing, right? It's struggled to break back above the 0.22 resistance point right here. Solana, same thing, right? The $120 marker right there, it rejected it, sold off all the way into the $90 area. And so from here, again, Solana could be indicating that, okay, hey, this is a W bottom, or it could be really indicating that, hey, this is another lower high and we're just going to start trading back down, right? It could be any one of the two scenarios that I mentioned. What we do know that's been abundantly clear for altcoins over the last several months is any rally that has popped the market up has been getting squashed. And I personally believe that that has more than likely been happening simply due to the fact that the market as a whole is still being very much moved by bigger funds and institutions, likely be concerned about external risk of a risk from war or Fed, interest rate hikes, or just de-risking from the stock market side. I think these are the forces that are guiding our market. And I don't think we will be able to escape those forces until maybe a few things happen. Number one, those external forces are alleviated and crypto starts to go on a run because of, I don't know, some big funds that are now just starting to enter in, or we found a new narrative. I think that's another big thing for crypto is finding a new narrative, right? What is the new narrative right now? Is it NFTs? Because that's been played out for like the last year. Is it gaming and metaverse? Maybe, but we don't really have, great games to kind of show for what's happening, right? Could it be DeFi? Well, DeFi for the most part has been trading sideways or down for either, 2 months or all the way up to, 1 year, right? Like here's an example of a DeFi asset, which is Sushi. It hit the high here in March 2021. Well, we're now here almost in March 2022. So that's a year-long sideways to down movement. Same thing with Uni. Same thing with 1inch. DYDX topped, here around September. It's been trading down for like 5 or 6 months. A lot of these assets are actually down, 50, 60, 70%. Now you could make the argument that, okay, well, they're at a great discount right now. Maybe, but we don't really know which of these assets is going to be the next sort of perennial player, right? Why is it that Sushi has to, go up another 5 or 10x from here? Why can't it be that maybe new products are coming in? Or why can't it be that Sushi can go down another 50% and then it will go up, another 100 or 200%, right? And that could be simply because the overall market is bearish, okay? So I'm thinking about these factors on a day-to-day basis. And while I still want to look at the long side of the market and stay cautiously bullish, I also do know that, as of right now, I think the best trade and the best momentum is probably on the short side. And I don't want to just simply ignore that because of the bias or because, people talk about crypto being up only or whatever, right? We need to keep in mind what the market is showing us because that's ultimately what matters. And the market overall, here's a easier perspective of looking at the market, okay? Two ways to look at the market: total market cap, which is altcoins plus Bitcoin, right? You guys know I use this market cap as a gauge, as a directive to help understand what is the overall trend of the market. Okay, not just, some random altcoin that someone will point out and say, hey, this altcoin went up 50 or 70% over the last week. Like, that's not really fair because most of the market has clearly been going down. So in this particular instance, one can make the argument that these are clear lower highs and lower lows being set by the market. So, here's a perfect example like this, right? This is a trading range or a momentum that's being set by the market that's clearly heading down like that, right? So we cannot escape that just yet, but maybe we're making headway. Maybe we've put in the low, just like, what we did in BTC, right? And we put in this first sort of lower high still, but here's our first higher low. So that means we need to smash above this $2.1 trillion marker and start trading on up. In which case, then we will have turned this around into something of a change in trend, which will look like a low, a higher low, your first high, and then you'll have your first higher high like that, okay? But we have not done that yet. So we have to assume that we're still trending down in this market. Total 2, also similar. Now, this is just altcoin markets, right? Well, Total 2 is actually kind of interesting because what we can make out of this is quite easily a pretty decent, sort of parallel channel, if you will, right? It kind of looks like that, okay? This one is clear as day. We are clearly trending down, but we're sitting at the top half of the channel right here. And we're also sitting above this KSR level, okay, which is the $1 trillion marker in altcoin market cap. If we could sit above this, okay, that's a good sign. And if we could break outside this parallel channel, guess what's next? 1.45 trillion, which is the next big resistance point that has previously capped the market. But if we break down back inside the 1 trillion market cap, the biggest level that is probably going to support price is way the hell down here, which is around 700 to $685 billion. Okay. From there down, that's another 30-35% drop in overall market cap in just altcoins. So that means some of the altcoins can easily go down by 35%, but some of them can go down 50 to 70 to 80%, like from the current prices. And that's scary, right? I mean, imagine if someone told you, like, I don't know, just for example, Matic. Imagine if someone told you, hey, Matic can go down another 50% from here. How much is that? That's 87 cents for Matic, right? But also, it's not really the worst thing, because then you could say, oh, okay, well, Matic is in this, maybe this kind of huge range. Like, it'll go on for another, 3 to 6 months before Matic decides it's going to, head on up, right? That could really be the structure that we may be in. Okay, so don't sort of scoff at the idea that, markets as a whole, the way they look at right now, they could easily head down further. All right, we want to keep our eye on both sides of the ball. Never be too bearish, never be too bullish. Joe says, institution money controlling BTC now. The action isn't there on weekends anymore, as you mentioned recently. Is that because retail money is playing NFT space, and then when the market makers finally push BTC down, the NFT markets gets crushed? And this is the perfect storm to start the next bull rally. Okay, yes, I would agree with that partially. So one thing I will say is, yes, you're right. Institution money definitely has their hands on BTC, and Bitcoin is now traded in the league of macro assets, like the stock market, like the bond market. So it is susceptible to the swings of what happens in those macro factors. For example, why is it that Bitcoin needs to care about interest rate hikes, right? It really doesn't. If we're truly the new currency paradigm, or Bitcoin is supposed to be the store of value of the future, or the digital gold, why should it care about interest rate hikes? Well, it cares about them because the money flows that are impacting the stock market, that are impacting the bond market, are the same flows that are impacting BTC. which is, if some big fund or institution is de-risking in one area, they might also look at Bitcoin and say, hey, Bitcoin is like the riskiest thing on our books. Let's just start selling this shit before it goes down further, right? Because we know that the Fed is going to raise rates, or we know that the stock market looks a little shaky. Let's just sell some shit on our books that is probably something that we don't much care about, from a week to week or a month to month perspective. And that would be Bitcoin. And, same thing with altcoins, right? If funds and institutions are holding altcoins on their books, well, altcoins also get sold. And of course, altcoins get sold because Bitcoin gets sold, okay? Because there are the correlation risks of that. And yes, I believe retail money is in the NFT space, but I also believe big whales are in the NFT space now, all right? The NFT space is not just a small time, retail kind of playground. It has now brought in a lot of big whales, a lot of people who are actually money laundering as well, but it doesn't matter, right? Like it's still a pretty legitimate space in my opinion, and it's doing amazing volumes, and we should all be paying attention to our NFT area that everybody has been contributing greatly in, right? We've found so many amazing opportunities within the NFT space for everybody on every different blockchain. So I highly suggest that you go to the NFT gaming chat area. And if you're a free member, what you could do is you could go to the NFT access. And if you verify right here, you'll get a role, which is like this role right here, okay? NFT member. And you'll have that role, which gives you free access to the NFT area. Okay, so if you're not a paying Advantage member, you could still be participating in the NFT area. So I hope most of y'all join, because at a later point, we will close this area off. Okay, and this will only be for paid members. But for now, we're making it free for everybody because we want more and more people to access the NFT area because there's just so much amazing stuff happening there. Okay. And so your final point, Joe, BTC market makers pushing BTC down, the NFT markets get crushed, and then that creates the perfect storm to start the next bull rally. Well, I'm not quite sure if those parts of the market are related yet, right? I don't think the NFT market is as big or something that, big players like big funds or institutions really care about because it's only a couple of $1 billion. Versus Bitcoin and other altcoins, they're multiple billion or, in some cases, trillion, right? So those correlations, I still have not found any decent correlation, but one could say the opportunity that, maybe you could find correlation between, I don't know, Solana going down in price, and who knows, the floors may also go down in NFTs. So what you do is if you're in cash, you buy Solana and you go pick up some cheap NFTs, right? You could make that argument, okay? Because that correlation has not really seeped into the market yet, right? Like if someone told you that, hey, today Solana cost, $100, right? And the NFT that you want to buy is one Sol, okay? So that's $100. Well, then tomorrow, Solana's price drops to 75, and yet the NFT itself is still charging you one Sol. Well, now you're getting a 25% discount because now you're only paying $75. So I think those parts of the market are actually inefficient. And I bet you over time, that inefficiency will get filled. But because it's not getting filled now, the best position that you want to be in is have some cash set aside in case the markets do go down, and you go across picking up Solana or Matic or Ethereum at these cheaper prices, and then you go buy the NFTs at the cheaper prices. Okay. All right. One thing before I forget, for Advantage members, once again, we have this one Sol contest. I'm giving away 2 Solana. Okay. So two winners. All you have to do is really just post some cool Twitter thread, some blog, a video, an article, a newsletter, something that members from our community can use, right? Whether it's about, your profession or cooking or cars or skydiving or family or trading. I want people to share different alpha other than just crypto. It could be a life hack. It could be something about, you know, how you go about marketing or how you use so-and-so platform. And I wanted to use this just to be able to give back to the community. I want to give, you know, money back to Advantage members of our community because I think you guys are working really hard. And I know a lot of people are also doing other things aside from crypto. So make sure you do, you know, read the instructions here and post something in this channel because you have a pretty easy chance to win one soul, which is still $100. That's a decent amount of money in my opinion. Okay. All right, everybody. So I think that's about it. I don't really have much else to talk about. You know, we've talked many times about the NFT space, the passive income strategies I mentioned, right, in the farming, staking, and lending area. A lot of us have been contributing in this area, mentioning some good opportunities where you could park your money and make some decent passive income. So make sure you also check out this channel right here. Okay, I think y'all will like it a lot. There's a ton of alpha being dropped in our community. If you just pay attention on a day-to-day basis or even a week-to-week basis, I think you will realize that it's not just that you have to go long or short the market. There are now many different areas of the market that you could be involved in. So on a day like today, when the market is not really giving you great signals, you can involve yourself in other parts of the market, like the NFT area, like this passive, you know, income strategy of farming, staking, and lending. Okay, this is where you have to diversify your attention and your money and do your due diligence. Okay, because this is really where a lot of us will start making great headway in terms of money when overall, you know, the markets like Bitcoin and cryptos and altcoins are not doing a whole lot. Okay. Any last questions? Anything else I can cover? All right, so like I said before, right, market overall is still trending down, whether you look at the total crypto market cap or market cap of altcoins. That's my dog, I apologize. She just wants to play. And then, you know, overall, we can kind of see that a lot of these cryptos are sitting near key critical support, like, for example, Atom, you know, it's sitting at this bottom $25 support, just like many other altcoins, you know, near, right? Just hanging on by a thread near this $10 support or $11 support. Sushi, same thing, sitting at this potential, you know, $4 and some change support. All of these look like they're creating W bottoms, but we're not necessarily sure if this is a W bottom or if it's going to do something like this, right? Where it looks like a W bottom, but then it just starts selling off further. Okay. All right. That's all I got, folks. Y'all take care. Good luck. And we'll talk soon. Cheers.